Hello, everyone. This is Biz Chicks TV. This is the place where you can find tips and tools to help you do business better. We're here to help you run a profitable business that's fun to run and to take the hassle out of your hustle. And today is the day that we get to talk to Coach Karen Fern all the way from Toronto, Canada. Guys, get your pencils up and get ready to find out how to handle your money. Over there on YouTube, the subject is Money 101, and it's also the same on Facebook and Periscope. So come on in, let's dig in and find out how we can do this better. You know, if you don't have your health, you can't keep your wealth. But you know what? Once you get that wealth, you have to figure out how to keep it and keep it coming in. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. How you doing today, Coach?
I am well.
Good. While you're doing that, I'm going to try to figure out how to share this.
All right. So today we're talking about Money 101. And all this month, what we're really going to dive into is, do you want it bad enough? And do you want it? Last month we talked about organizing and getting things in order. So now once that happened, do you want it bad enough? And this month we're going to talk about Money 101. We're going to talk about freedom. We're going to talk a little bit about health and wealth and all that goodness that really comes into the part of money. Because sometimes we talk a lot about the money or the planning or the this or the that, but we don't nail down this simple idea of understanding your money, who you are as a money person, who you are. We have different tests we could take, but who you truly are. Because lots of times we might take a test, but because nobody's there, we wouldn't want to own who we are. But the minute you own who you are as that type of money person, then life gets so much easier. Remember, the month before I was talking about ease. It's easy for you. You understand who you are. And so I'm going to cover a couple of questions today, and I'm going to go in and answer them a little bit for you guys. And, take this and do what you will, but do something with it. Okay?
Thank you. There you go. Do something with it.
So right off the bat, we're going to talk about why does not having money makes us feel a certain type of way. Like why does it make you feel that way? And it didn't matter if you had a lot of money or you're born into money. If you lose all of it, you feel your feelings, period. And if you never have it, it's a different feeling. And if you were oblivious to the whole fact, again, there's still something happening there. And why are we afraid to talk about it openly? Like, why couldn't we just talk about it and it's just me talking about it? It's teeth. We all got teeth. Let's talk about teeth. That's it. It's money. Just talk about it. We all spend it, use it, invest it, buy with it, all that wonderful stuff. And last but not least, who taught us that it was bad to have this conversation? And when I say who taught us, I don't mean they sat you down and they say you can't talk about it. You hear the whispers, you walk around, you were involved somehow, and it taught you that you cannot talk about it. You can work for it. You can put it away for the people who learn that. You can invest it for the people who learn to invest. You can get yourself educated, but you can't have the conversation. I want to tell you right now, you have to. Without the conversation, nothing can get done, because everything starts in the head and then we move it into action. So without any further ado, the first thing we're going to talk about, why does not having money make us feel this way? We feel because that's the currency. That's the simple answer. Because that's the currency that we use for an exchange of whatever we need. That's why it made us feel that way. If you were exchanging chickens and you didn't have chickens, you would feel a certain way because you have no chickens. You understand? It is not chicken, but it's money.
I want to say good morning over here to Cecilia and Spencer.
Cecilia.
And Carlos is in the house.
Hi, Carlos. Thanks for joining me today. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, my goodness. Yes. If you don't have any chickens, it does get pretty interesting, doesn't it?
And my auntie used to rear chickens, so I remember those chicken days running behind them and running to get the egg before the hen come back and pick us. But yes, we're talking about money. Why makes us feel this way? Well, we feel like we don't have enough. We feel like we're not up to par with somebody else. this is a deep feeling that's been with most, I would say 80%, maybe even 90% of people at some case and point. Let's think about when you were little and you go to school, for us, where I'm from in South America, you wear uniform. So if you had this semester that you wear, we wear uniform, and then we wear running shoes. You guys we call it yachting home, and there's a certain color, and everybody's in that color. So let's say
Yes.
your mom couldn't afford it, and you had a different shade of blue. Your whole
Mm.
semester with that shade of blue that doesn't match everybody else is gonna be talked about, and all of a sudden you're in the poorhouse or something is wrong why you don't have, and the kid started. Let me tell you, that feeling grows with you. That
Wow.
feeling stays with you. It matures with you. And you maybe don't even understand that you internalize it. And all of a sudden, you are grouped with the poor kids. True or false, it started happening.
You're stigmatized
Mhm.
young
Yes.
because you weren't uniform.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow. And so how does that carry over to our money issues?
That carried over to adulthood, and it happened in about several ways, but the three main ones are: you get the go-getters that this is never going to happen to me again, or never going to happen to my children, and I don't care what come may, I'm going to do this. And then
Yes.
you have the bottom of the
Okay.
barrel. Well, I'm there already, so who cares? And then you have the in-between people. And the in-between people, to me, is the hardest, because some days you're up and you just want to go get it, and some days you beat yourself real down into the ground. And so they get a hard time leveling out. So,
Mhm.
some years you will see them flying high, and the years that they're low, boy, are they ever low.
Right.
That's not from my country alone. I come here and I saw the same thing.
Yes.
I watch it happen. I People I met who were doing really, really well were doing really well. But when they start hitting rock bottom, it's like they didn't know how to, what do you
Come
call it?
back up.
Not level up, but you call it. It's kind of like a floating thing. How to keep themselves afloat while that's happening. Eh? I met a girl when I came here, and I'll talk about her because she's identical what I'm talking about. Like,
Okay.
she was married, she she worked, but her husband was those kind of guys. And he was Guyanese too. He was like, I am the man of the house. I'm gonna look after everything. So your money is your money. When she worked, she could buy whatever she liked. She had to buy nothing for the house, nothing for the kids. He literally meant it. He looked after the house, give her an allowance, and although she worked. But when they divorced, she didn't understand what it means to pay any bill. So she rented an apartment. She couldn't keep the apartment. She had to let it go. She rented a room from somebody. She couldn't let it go. She was in this state of, this is my money, and why should I spend it any other where else? I
Interesting.
never seen anybody float like that. Like, that was like a nuance to me. I was like, and I was
What do
younger
you
than her.
Wow, what do you guys think about that? That's interesting.
Crazy. And I said to her, well, how come you all rent? You work 5 days a week. Like, I mean, I couldn't even believe it. I said to her, she goes, well, what do you mean? I mean, and he says he was going to pay the rent anyhow. I'm like, but you're not together. Like, even if he says he's going to pay it, you job is to pay your own rent because you and him are not together. So she literally called him up and said to him, you didn't pay this month's rent. And he'll be on the other side thinking, I am
That is
frozen.
great. Carlos says, what are bills? I guess that's what
Yes,
that
that's exactly it. She was
I
oblivious to bills. She didn't want to pay them.
oh that is I wish I could have got that arrangement.
You know
Wow.
something? That girl learned that thing since she was younger. She was
Hmm.
the only girl for the mom had about six of them, all boys. She was the only girl.
Okay.
And then the mom died, and the aunt that raised them also treated her like a princess. She didn't have to do anything. And then she married to this husband who did exactly the same thing. So, boy, when did she hit the ground? When she hit the ground, she just kept bouncing.
That is a different money story. I tell you,
Different money
I've
story.
never I've never heard that one.
Different
Nice
money
work
story.
if you can get it. What do you think, guys? I mean, I'd love to have that
Mhm.
situation where I could just call up people and say, you know what? And right now, the only person I can call is Jesus. Hey, you got mail.
Oh my word. Anyway. And so those people, it's hard for them to bounce back. It's just hard for them because they never learned anything about money. While it was great that those people did that for her, they should have been teaching her something, giving her some sort of responsibility, something to do, something to understand what happens with money. And it wasn't good for her because this woman had kids, which means she passed it on to her children. I'm not going to even get into the kids situation, but she passed it on to the kids. Okay. Because that was the way she did things. That's
what is up with this.
Most of us understand that if we're broke or we were broke, I was in the poorhouse shoes, that we continuously fight to get there and stay there. Sometimes though, that are the type of people, if you don't pay attention, you get burned out. Because you're reaching, but you're not breathing. You're reaching, but you're not doing any grace period. You're not being gentle to yourself. You're not allowing yourself. We're only on the go. I know.
Yeah.
So,
we got to stop and be accountable. We need to know the state of our flocks. Right? We need to know how many sheep do you have? I mean, how would you know something's missing?
Right?
Or your cattle's being rustled, as we say in California. You know what I'm saying? You need to know.
You need to know. You need to know.
Busy feeding them and taking care of them that we're not counting them.
We got to count. We got to stop and count. We got to stop and count. And let me tell you, people in money also sometimes afraid to talk to other people about money. Having money doesn't mean that it makes it easier to talk to somebody else about money, because some people's on the hang up about they might want their money. If they give too much away, they will leave without any money. So that becomes also a problem. So number 2 question was, why are we so afraid to talk about money? We're afraid because we're afraid of losing it. We're afraid we don't have enough. We're afraid we can't match up with the person next to us. By the way, sometimes the person next to you that is dressed to death has no money. So go talk to them, because they probably might be poorer than you. Don't worry about it. Looking good don't mean you got none. Just looking good means looking good.
Well, Carlos has something to say about this. I'm putting this up, Carlos, before I read it, so I'm trusting you. Let's see here. Can you read that? It says, some people strive to get a good credit score, not knowing that it's a score to get you into more debt. I have done credit card in 22 years. No trap for me, thanks. I think he says I have not.
Yes, that's what he said.
Credit cards for 22 years. No trap for me.
Carlos, I hear you. I never knew what a credit card looked like until I went to college. I lived my whole life debt free. I'd never had debt up until I was 29. Yes, 29 I went to college. 20, 29, 28, 29 I went to college. 29, 28. I was 28 when I went to college. That's when I got my first debt. I had always lived cash. I'd always lived within my means. I'd always lived so there's always surplus. Then I found out about a thing named credit card, because of course I had really great credit, because I
think credit is a fairly recent thing. I can remember in high school in the 60s and the 70s, there was layaway. Then we went from layaway to when I got to college, anybody could get a credit card, and they waiting for you when you're, well, nobody knew how that worked. Our parents hadn't had credit cards. There was nobody to teach us, what's this credit card thing? And we were just swiping and partying and came out. When you graduate, you get this little thing called a bill. Right. What? We got to pay this?
Yeah. So no, it's so hard to talk about it. Like, if you weren't talking about it before, it gets double hard now to talk about it, because now we're talking about debt. Now we're talking about how we're going to pay it off. Now we're talking about, I am not even making enough money to live by, much less add a new debt to it. And then once I clear it off, because the habit, because here's the biggest thing I think about credit card. Because you didn't speak on it and talk about it, when you clear it off, you put back more money on it. Everybody who has a credit card, refill it all the time. And the reason they refill it is because they don't have the conversation about it. How did I get there? One of the biggest things about anything you do, money, weight, anything, you need to find out corely how you got there. What did you spend it on? And how you could have not spent it. Gone right back to my money principles. It's one of the things in there. My money principle. If you have money and you do not spend it and you find a different avenue, that's the same principle you want to apply to your credit card. When your credit card was at the fullest and you couldn't take anything more on it, what did you do? How did you handle it? Why, as soon as you took off $200, you plaster back on? Because let me tell you, the minute you're halfway, the next thing they do, they're gonna up your limit. So now that your limit is out,
Absolutely.
you are like,
Absolutely.
and you partied out.
That's true. As soon as you pay it down, this, oh, you know what? You're such a great customer. Not only are we going to give you a couple of more years, you know, because they do have a limit on how many years the card is good, but we're going to up it. And we got some comments over here. He says, Carlos says, I've been debt free for 22 years. Congratulations, Carlos. He says, I use banks as layaway, put money for big ticket items, and then buy them when I have the funds. Cool.
Exactly.
That makes sense. Using the bank as the layaway plan.
Yep.
Save for it.
Yep. Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
We've had these conversations before, Coach, and I just want to remind everybody about, keeping a certain amount of money in your purse or your wallet and getting used to seeing it, living there.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Have it live there. Have the conversation with it. Talk to it. And if you really truly, because somebody said to me 2 weeks ago, they live a lot in their mind. And I realized a lot of people do. If you were get in front of the mirror, get into your washroom, someplace where nobody can hear, and just have it out with the money. Have the money talk. If money is your struggle, say it. Listen, I got to spend you. I got to use you. I'm using you for my expense, for investment. We got to talk about this. How could you run away from me? Why are you hiding? Have the conversation with your money. Tell it. I need to have this with you. We're having it out. Take it out your purse. Drop it on the counter. Don't matter how small it is, count it out. Ask it where it needs to go, because here's where I'm sending you. You might want to go left, but I'm sending you right, because that's where you're going to go. You're only going left for investment. You're only going left for savings. On the right side, it's my expenses. And I am not adding any more expense to you, because this is it. This is what we have. Now we need to bring in some more. If I'm going to bring in some more, I'm not putting you over to the right, because it's the left you're going. Anything more coming in is going to the left. Unless I'm paying down the debt, then we're going straight up. Have the conversation with the money in front of you. If you can't speak it with anybody else, have it with yourself with the money there. All right. Karen can go off with money.
Well, I think we feel strange talking to inanimate objects, but we got to get over that, because your words will direct what happens and paint the picture for what happens in your life. The life you're living today are the words you spoke yesterday.
Yes. Oh, Terry. Yes. I had a client 2 years ago, and when I gave her these exercises for the mirror and washroom and stuff, she was so embarrassed. And she said, I can't do it. She's a single mom. And then she called me one day. She says, I've got something to tell you that I cry, I laughed, and I cried again, Coach. She says, because I was doing it for me quietly, early in the mornings before my son got up. But she didn't know her son was getting bullied at school and struggling. And so he heard his mom saying it. And he starts saying it, I am strong, I'm handsome, I could do anything, and was talking to himself. And in less than 3 weeks, he came and he said to his mom, he says, Mom, the stuff you do in the morning that you think I don't hear about? I've been doing it. And the guy that was bullying me, he can't do it anymore, because I told him. I told him all the words, and he just stood there and didn't know what to do. And she said, could you imagine? Could you imagine? I just did that for my son unknowingly, because I finally listened and I did take action.
Wow.
In self. So when you take action in self, you help so much other people around you, lots of times without even knowing it. And going back to money, you help others when you understand how you are with money, your money story, what got you here, what you're willing to deal with, what you're willing to let go of, and what you're willing to work towards. This is why, this my life works.
Wow. Well, Dr. Tachi's in the house, and Carlos, let's see what Carlos is saying here. Let's see. He says, wait a minute, I focus on having money.
You have sex?
if it interacts with more money, it has babies.
Baby.
Okay.
Okay, got
In
it.
other words, have your money make more money.
Yes.
Look for multiple streams of income.
Yes.
Absolutely,
Yep.
Carlos. Yep.
Always and always. Always and always. Again,
And
you
morning, Dr. Tachi. Yeah. Yep.
you got to talk about it to get there. You know, and who taught us that it was bad to have this conversation? And you know, who taught us? It's usually because you airdropped, just like the story I just talked about. That kid airdropped on great stuff, but he could have been airdropping on stuff that wasn't good, stuff
Oh,
that you know,
eavesdropping, we call
yes,
it.
yes, yeah,
Eavesdropping.
on stuff that's not good, on stuff that you're beating up yourself on, stuff that you're telling yourself, and somebody else is listening and hearing. If you have a kid, then this is embedded in them. They're thinking they can't have this, they shouldn't have this. This is not allotted. I mean, I was told people like us don't have bank accounts. And I was so upset about that statement that it just stayed with me and it pushed me, it helped me. I'm not going to sit here and lie. It really made me feel awful initially. I was so upset about it that I went out and I did it to prove that, yes, I could have a bank account. Yes, I could put money in there. Yes, I could do such a thing because, you know, I was upset about it. So I went to make sure I change it. And if it was spoken into you, if you heard this and you weren't sure that you can do something about it, let me be the one to tell you, you can do whatever you want to do about something. No matter if it was spoken into you day and night, you could take that information and you can turn it around so you can do differently, so you can live differently, so that you can be the person you want to be. If you want it bad enough, you got to want it. Nobody can want it. You got to want it.
I think a lot of times, Coach, we minimize the importance of these self-conversations and actually identifying when this happened so that we can self-correct. Because if that's all you've ever heard, you don't know anything else and you need someone to help you with that. So, and meanwhile, over here in the chat, Spencer is saying, Carlos, you're a mess. And Tasha is talking to people. She's saying, hi, it's good to have you in the house, Doc. Yeah. Wow. Well, now, if we want to get our money talk straight, what do we need to do, Coach?
You guys need to get my principle if you don't have it yet, because it's good.
Exactly.
And you need to really, you know, get onto the really identifying who you are when it concerns with money, who you are, who you become when you don't have it, who you are when you do have it, how it makes you feel. Tap into those feelings. It's just you and the feeling. At the moment, nothing is happening. You know, one of the best things in life is when you broke. It sounds crazy, but it's really good when you broke, because when you broke, you get to really sit with your broke self and figure out how you're not going to be broke anymore. I mean, ever broke anymore. You might come down in the amount of money you have, but how you're never going to be broke anymore. And I know for us, and my dad likes saying, you know, immigrants, this is our behaviors and ways. Who cares? I like it. When we come and we decide we're not going to be broke anymore, we're not going to be broke anymore, which means if we have to hold on to what we have, or we have to give it to another friend to hold and say, don't touch it, we ain't touching it until we get to where we want to be, where we want to go. We're not looking to move from that status because we're not going backwards. We're moving forward. Even if life is beating you down. I always say to people, if you have your last money and you feel you have to spend it because there's no more coming, there's no more coming. You need to keep that last money and say, I am not spending it because I want it to attach to the rest that is coming. So here's the things I'm doing for the ones who are coming. That's it. I am going and get some things so that this can prosper and get more. As Carlos say, more babies. I will use magnet. I'm magnetizing it. I'm bringing it towards me. I am not moving until it got a baby. I am not moving. So if I got $20, I better figure out how I can get some percentage on that so it can turn $25. And when it turns 25, I'm not moving until it turns 50, because you want to start building a momentum. Everything and anything you do is to keep that 20 and make sure it turns into 100 eventually. And keep going. Don't stop. Don't you dare stop. Don't you dare spend it.
Well, Coach Carlos says, I've been homeless but not broke. I'm feeling you, Carlos. I have done some sofa surfing during the course of my life, but I've always worked, and I could not understand how did I get there. So these conversations are important to have with our children, and to just fess up what happened, what I didn't know, and how can I help you avoid, this kind of experience.
Yeah,
Although
exactly.
my kids went through it with me because I was raising children at the time. So, oh my gosh, money 101. First thing I want to do is figure out where the foolishness came from.
Yes.
Carlos says, I know how I got there. I got married, did divorce. Yeah, I think we must have been on the same trail. Did I pass you on that trail, Carlos? Yeah, contestant number 2 taught me a lot about what I'm not going to do with my money.
Again,
I can't trust other people with it.
That's your job. That's your responsibility. When you're there, when that's happening. And I think most of us been poor, been without, didn't know what else is going to happen, but we hang in there and we push through, we fight through to get there. So why would you want to get to that place again, regardless of what's happening? I tell people it wasn't me, but we were living in a kitchen. We were living in a kitchen, and we were struggling. And one skill I taught myself there is that I had money. Out of the people there, I had money, but I didn't lend my money because the people couldn't give it back to me. And I was about to touch it. Period, because it just keeps you there. It keeps all of us there. One of the biggest lessons I always tell people without money, if you're poor and you're broke right now, and you have money and your friend called you up, this is not because you're being awful, and you had $40 and you know you can give them $20, do not, I repeat, give them the $20. Don't give it to them. Ask them what they think they can do. Sit down with them, spend time with them in quiet. You don't even have to speak. Let them think about how they can raise the $20, but dare not take that $20 out of your purse and give it to them. Only if it was an investment for them to do something. And let me tell you how I invest in people. I make money off of it. So if I give you $20, you better ensure you give me back $40, and that goes to my kids too. You're paying me back $40, so you must be taking the 20 to make more money. That's the only way you're getting that 20. And that is not because I don't love you. It's because I love you. I want to showcase to you that you don't have to stay in that state. So with me not getting you that money just for that sake, unless it's to stretch you, taking the bus, getting to work, getting something to get you to the other place, starting a business, whatever it is. Yes. If that's not the reason, no, I'm not giving it to you to eat either. I know some people say food. No.
There you go. Well, this has been a conversation this morning. Money 101. We'll be back next week to continue this conversation around what's really going on in our heads.
Yeah. Do you want it bad enough? What are you willing to do for it? Do you want it bad enough? If you do, you'll find a way. You'll always find a way. You got to be dead not to find a way.
Wow. Well, Carlos loves this conversation. I love you too, Carlos. He says, I have 4 businesses and a day job. I may be making money, but I have no clue. I never look at it. It just goes into investments. Eventually, I will peek and see how it's grown. Oh, I see what you're saying. All right. Well done, Carlos. And then Cecilia has a comment here. She says, I always enjoy listening about money. Thank you. Yeah, because wrapping your mind around what's really going on up here is an exercise that we haven't practiced.
That's what it is. Any single thing you want to do, you can do once you keep practicing, which means you just keep doing it. Don't listen to this idea so I can get perfect. No, so you can keep doing it. That's what it's there for. You keep doing it. I used to be a dancer. We dance 3 days a week, but when we got a gig coming up, we will dance 5 days a week to get great, to get on stage. As soon as we get off the stage, what did my dancing teacher say? She says, don't you dare not show up Monday because you'll be out of the dance group. You got to come back and dance again. You got to come and learn new steps. You got to learn new choreography. You got to keep doing. Same when I used
You
to
got to
sing.
be consistent.
We sing, we learn new songs, we learn the words. What money's no different. Business is no different. Oh, my business is here now, so I don't have to do much. You better get in there and be working your businesses, or pay somebody to be in there doing the things that needs to be done. Continuously, we admire brands, big businesses. You think they're sitting on their hind doing nothing? That's why we keep seeing them popping up. Need somebody to do it.
Wow. Well, with that, you heard her. Get it in gear, guys. Okay. If you're looking for someone to help you with your money issues and with your businesses, Coach Karen is here for you. She's run a number of successful businesses, and she's also written books. She is a money mindset coach, and so you may want to join the Money Mindset Academy. You can find her on Facebook under Profits in Daily, or Coach Karen Fern, like the plant, F-E-R-N. Or you can reach her through BizChicks. You can always go through the group and find her if you can't find her online. But she's everywhere. Instagram. Are you on Twitter? I don't think you're on Twitter. You're Instagram,
I
Facebook.
am, but I hardly go these days. But
Yes.
but
I don't really frequent Twitter, but don't tell TJ that. All right. So, guys, with that, we want to remind you guys to go to the front of your own line.
Yeah.
It's okay. All right. It's okay.
Part of self-care is going to the front of your own line.
I love it. And, that's all we've been talking about in 2020, and it's moving into 2021. Self-care. Yeah. So take care of your own self-money, as Grandma would say. Oh, my gosh. Talk is cheap, but it takes money to buy land. So we'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow is Thursday. We'll be talking Happy Healthy Habits with Robin Shimizu and friends. And Friday, we'll be talking tech. Guys, remember to follow us. And to also, if you're on YouTube, you can go ahead and subscribe. We'd love for you to push that little button. We haven't been over there long, but we would love you to help us build up the audience for YouTube. And we want to thank you again for tuning in. So with that, Coach Karen, you get the last word.
Yeah. Guys, have a wealthy winning Wednesday. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.